because I'm told that you get half of this conference fee at most. So it is what it is.
We'll be nicely close.
All right, welcome everybody. Glad you could be here. We're going to get you kicked off and started, and I know that it's Thursday and you're already thinking about Friday. It might be in the morning because the Dodgers lost today 5-3. I understand you're upset. I am too. She's a Dodger hater. You should kick her out right now.
I have taste.
When my wife wears a Dodger shirt, I tell her I can't hug her because I'll get a rash. Anyway, we're going to get you kicked off, get you started, get you some documents. We're going to review a lot today, just to kind of remind you what's going on. And I've printed things up that are normally on an electronic version of Google Docs. And so we're going to go from there. We got one more person I can see walking in. It's nice and hot outside, isn't it?
Oh, yeah.
So I think it was 107 or something like that. And it's brutal right here because the sun just hits, there's no shade. I mean, the door handle gets really hot. We got another one. So we'll give everybody a minute. Cold drinks are in the refrigerator. There's water, soda, chocolate, chips, crackers. We need more this morning. Of course, we brought lunch. We share with everybody, right? First meal of the day. No kidding. Wow. You don't get breaks.
You guys don't mess around. That fridge is fully stocked.
Yeah. And it's cold.
I hope that fits in the wall.
That's the right password up there. It's not working.
2022 and then a little star and then MIC with an apostrophe. It's an apostrophe.
It looks like an exclamation point.
Exclamation point.
Okay.
Sorry, I said, I mean excellent.
Okay, I'm like, what? Yeah, you did it. It's not working.
You get all that? 2, 0. I know you're having problems with the star thing.
Huh. Telling me no.
Capital M and then an exclamation.
Yes, it will not let me do it. Anybody else think?
I just
Mine automatically connected to what from that one.
Given to us by the Grand Poobah himself, the director of IT. I don't know. All right, let's do this. Let's go around the room and tell us a couple things. Who you are, where you're at. Okay, you're just on time, no worries. So who you are, where you're at, and what you're doing. So tell me if you are mentoring a PIC teacher, or if you're mentoring a MIC teacher, or if you're doing both. Okay? We'll start with James.
James Carter, at Flores High School, and I am mentoring MIC.
Very good. How many years have you been in mentor for?
I think it was the fourth.
Very good.
I'm Jennifer Payne. I'm at Aldi.
Aldi? Very
I'm
nice.
in the county, not the district.
I'm way out there.
I am way out there, yes. I book it to get here. And I'm MIC mentor for year 2 first.
Year 2. And this is your second year?
Well, do you want to count that's about 15 to 20 years ago?
Sure. Go right ahead.
So I don't know, 5 or 6 years I did it?
That'll work.
My name is Sal Lopez, and I teach with the Early Start program in Madera County, and I'm in my 7th year, and I'm mentoring, I believe, from there.
You are.
So,
And so I always like that it's mixed sauce, right? It sounds like mixed sauce. But you don't say that about Fresno, because they're Fresno County Superintendent of Schools, so you can't say they're academic out loud.
Barbara Hatfield, I'm at Howard Elementary. I have 2 kids.
I think you're right.
Yeah, there's 2 of them. And this, 10 years about? About 10 years doing this.
Hey, I'm Drew Rogers. I teach middle school science at MLK, and I've been doing this since 2010, and I have one of each this year.
And Heidi Ibarra, this is my 4th year now doing this, and I have only one second year.
And you're at the district office, right?
Mitch Roberts, and Madera South. This is my 2nd year MIC, doing MIC. I'm a year 2 candidate.
Cherokee Bingham. I'm at the new middle school, MedTech. I have a PCTS in our 2nd year, and this is my 8th year doing mentor.
I'm Jennifer Clark. I teach at Apollo School with McSauce, and I have one year 2 MIC.
Adam Bennett, I teach at Madera South High School. I had 2 big. I just found out that I have 1 now. This is my 3rd year. That's 3rd year.
Casey Garcia, Madera High School. I have 1 MIG 2nd year. I have no idea how long I've done this.
At least 12 years.
It's, yeah.
Oh, wow. Megan Rollins, I teach at Webster, finishing 2 of my MIC roles from last year and added a new one this year.
You teach on 3?
Yeah.
I'm Richard Schneider at Desmond Middle School. I got 1 pick. That's my 3rd.
Very good. All right. And I want to think, let's see, I'm beginning my 13th year in this position. A couple of changes. We've added another coordinator like myself, so there's now, in Madera Unified anyway, an elementary coordinator that has taken on, I don't know, 75 teachers out of our, off my plate, so to speak, so it makes life a little easier. We will be moving, and I will make a big announcement about it, probably have a grand opening, to the Span building across the street from the district office. And it'll be the one that's on the, so if you don't know your directions, it'll be, if you're facing it, the one on the left, but the one on the west, the one next to the liquor store. So, it'll be a lot of fun to come to meetings now.
I'm not gonna have to drive far anymore.
What
That's
street do you
nice.
live
I
on?
like that.
What street do you live on?
I live, my backyard is right across the street from Lincoln,
Okay.
so I'm not that far from you.
I'm even closer, I'm on Shannon.
Nice, so, yeah, you're right
All
there.
right, shoot, I'm gonna start riding my bike to
I was
work.
like, you could walk this to work.
Right. And I really am gonna ride my bike on days that I can. And then if I have to go to a meeting, I'll just ride home real quick and grab the truck and go. And, I'm excited because I've been putting about 1,500 miles or 1,800 miles a year on my truck. And I want to save it, right? You only get one of those suckers. So now I'm just going to 200 or 300 miles.
Yeah.
That right? I'm actually driving a Toyota Camry right now because gas prices exactly. Plus, I'm beating the crap out of that car instead of the truck.
Is that your wife's car?
Actually, it's my mom's car.
Oh, okay.
She can't drive anymore, but I still have to hang on to it because it's the only car she can get into. Right? You're at that age where there's no way of getting in a truck. So, anyway. My wife has a Toyota Highlander. What she wants and what she has are two different things. She wants a Land Range Rover, whatever it's called.
Ooh, good girl.
Right?
Yeah, those are pricey.
Keep
They're
dreaming.
nice.
She must like doing four-wheeling.
Have you guys gone out and done anything through the summer? Did you go do something fun? Are you on vacation? Summer school? Did summer school pay for something fun?
I bought a new house.
Bought a new house,
I'm
nice.
in Madera now.
Before the interest or after the interest?
Right before it, well, it's not the best, but it's not the worst.
We didn't refinance what it was back then.
Yeah, but I got a lot for my other house, so
Nice.
I'm off of Cleveland and Westbury.
Oh,
in the Katy homes.
yeah, she's in nice homes.
So,
Nice.
no more commuting for president.
Very good. Anyone else do anything fun or?
Daughter's first birthday.
Nice.
My son got MVP for Babe Ruth.
Hey.
Which is pretty big.
Fantastic. So that's your whole summer watching baseball.
Pretty much, yeah. The Tulare, I got to go to Tulare. I know you're all jealous. It's so cool. You know, it was all stars, so I was in the ballpark.
This was spring break for me. I went to Alaska.
You show us fish every time. You have always a fish
That's a
tank.
big one.
Yeah, that's a big one.
That just focused, they just made it bigger on the fish.
See how close he's holding it? See how close he's holding it?
That little kite right here.
It's not even his hand. No, I'm just kidding.
Did you mount it or eat it?
I had to let it go.
Oh.
It was, it's kind of their policy, so.
Oh, it's so
At any rate, we had a lot of fun there. And then I just have decided, I'm counting the years now, they're single digits. I think about 7 more years I get to retire. But I just kind of decided that if we can go and do, we're gone. Because there's no promise that when I retire, I'm healthy or wealthy. There isn't. I know you're supposed to save for retirement and all that. I'm like, no, man, let's go. Because who's to see, I've seen, right? So I took my stepkids and my kids. We went on a 4-day cruise over 4th of July. It cost me an arm and a leg, but we had a great time. Ensenada, Catalina thing. And then we got back and we got one of those emails that said, hey, do you want to go to the Mexican Riviera? So that's Puerto Vallarta, Mazatlan, and Cabo and Ensenada. And Norwegian is having a 40% off sale. It was $1,500 a piece for a balcony. So we leave New Year's Eve and come back on the 8th. How do you beat that? Set to drive to San Diego and $2,800? Are you kidding? Let's go. We're out. So we're just. I just have decided that's the.
Do it.
There's no promise, right? There's no promise. You get to retirement. We have a friend that she retired, and 3 months later, liver cancer. And, there's no promises.
I died back in November.
You died.
I had a cardiac arrest.
I didn't know that.
You did. That's why I thought I couldn't make it to something. I had to tell you I wasn't coming because I was sitting in a hospital bed in San Francisco. Wow. Yeah, Kevin saved my life, performed CPR on me.
No kidding.
No kidding.
Wow.
And if it was because 12% survive and are able to function, and because he kept the CPR going, it got me to But Darren Community actually saved my life. They didn't call time, they were getting ready to call time of death, and then they found the pulse. And then I'm back now, so.
Oh my God.
I got a defibrillator, so if it happens again, but they said I have just as much chance as it happening again as you have as it happening. They don't even know why it happened.
No disease.
There's
no
nothing that
damage.
happened, yeah, there's no test has proven why. So, yeah, live, because that's what I started
Yeah.
doing. Admin is not even, I have my admin credential, and I won't even look, because I want to go watch my boys. One swims in Concordia, down in Concordia, or down in Irvine at Concordia, and the other one's baseball, and I want to see it all, so.
Was Rick Martinez?
Uh,
No, Rick,
Ryan.
Ryan's
Ryan's down there, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think he graduated.
Dad's who took the picture.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. So yeah, live. 'Cause
Right?
you don't know if, I'm 53 years old when that happened to me, so.
And female, usually it's male.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So, has the year gotten off to a better start this year? I'm looking at smiles. Night and day difference.
Wow. See my little TK friends. Oh, Lord.
Now, yeah, I have, my wife has moved to a new position. She's now, for lack of a better word, she's an academic coach for preschool. And Madera Unified has taken all the 4-year-olds and moving them into TK. So until we get the 3-year-olds into preschool, she's actually been visiting some of these TK teachers in Madera Unified and helping them out. And the other day she talked about, we use visuals in preschool, so she says, when you want a kid to go to the bathroom, you show a picture of that. So she's having a blast doing that. Yeah, a lot more TK teachers now.
I got a friend this year, I'm not by myself anymore.
That's good.
Yes.
How many kids do you have in your classroom?
I have 19.
That's not too bad.
No, that's not bad. Just depends how they move.
Middle school has a new schedule in districts, so it's been interesting.
What time
And
do
it
they start?
sucks.
8:45?
It's terrible.
It sucks.
It's rough.
It really sucks
What
for
time
the
does it start?
country
So
schools.
basically the kids are 8:10 to 3:22. So it's like we only have 18 minutes of non-duty. And the kids have 7 classes, and it's 7 full classes. I mean, there's kids that are saying like, "What do we do to you guys? Why do you hate us?"
What is your time frame?
8:10 to 3:22.
We go same schedule, 7 classes, and we're 8 to 2:45. I don't know how we're doing. They don't even have time to walk or anything.
Anyways,
doing
so the
40
kids are overwhelmed.
classes in that.
6th and 7th period is very little. It's very difficult.
Because you're just out of gas.
Well, because we have a split lunch too. So 8th grade goes to 1, 2, 3 lunch, 4, 5, 6, 7 after lunch.
So they're out of
Compared
gas.
to how it used to be 6, 7, or 5, 6. So it's it's been interesting.
Do you think that it's just a matter of getting used to it, or do you think there needs to be an adjustment?
I think there needs to be some adjustment for sure. But I don't. It's when they went to a 7-period schedule, they're like, oh, the kids will love it. They're getting an extra elective. It'll be fun. And it's like, we don't have nonsense electives. I mean, you're talking about CTE. You're talking about, these kids are making videos for projects, editing stuff. It's not like, hey, come in and just hang out and we're going to, there's maybe a couple that are like that. But most of these kids, they got another academic class.
Yeah.
Or maybe another skills-based class. They're learning these skills, and it's a lot. I mean, to be week 2 and these kids are already exhausted, it's kind of,
Nothing wrong with a junior high kid that's exhausted.
but not when they're trying to teach them a core subject, But it's it's just been interesting. We'll see.
That's good to know because they're trying to put that schedule in high school.
7th grade.
Yeah.
I'll be the devil's advocate for it though. If you ask our ELD students that wouldn't get an elective otherwise, it's their first experience of an elective. So we're able to give the reading class for students that need the reading class. We're able to give ELD as well, and they get an elective that they wouldn't get otherwise.
So they get to take that.
Until they get to high school, correct?
Well, they have to exit out of ELD in order to get electives in their 10th grade year. So they would get it in freshman year, but if we don't exit them out in 8th grade and 9th grade,
Get you.
They lose the ability to go through even college. They get stuck at community college because they won't get A through G requirements. So that was the motivation behind the 7-period day, was equity. And then the issue with the 7-period day and how it goes 1, 2, 3, lunch, 4, 5, 6, 7, is our busing situation is a major issue. So
For MTech, yeah.
we had to have students on campus by a certain time, and we even adjusted our schedule to fit that. We couldn't have them later in the day because then it messes up other scheduling issues. So it had to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because they leave MTech for their, during like the 6th period time to be back for their 7th period.
Yeah. So kids that go to MTech they only spend like half the day there. They don't spend the whole day there.
And you're right, it is great that they're getting that extra elective. The problem is the district didn't adjust the time frame. So my schedule is an elementary school schedule. So we're fitting 7 periods into an elementary school schedule. And that is, it's almost,
They're looking into
like
a solution for that with the
We're at
MTech
50
too.
barely, but
MTech 2?
Yeah, the CTE school that will be for K-8 schools. So they're trying to figure out a way that still allows K-8 schools to have like their elementary schedule, but still experience like the CTE life.
yeah.
And
Well, at least we feel like we're with good intentions, right? And we're
Oh, for sure.
To, going forward, and anytime we make changes, there's going to be some bumps and wrinkles, but it's a challenge, but we'll figure it out.
well, because too especially at the country schools, we still have mules, so there's still that option. They're still doing sports, and their Fridays are shot, and so there's still that stuff going on. So it's still running like that elementary school. They're still getting all those little extra things that the elementary school gets, and on top of that, we're trying to fit all these subjects into that time frame. And then my 2 girls happen to just be 7th and 8th, so we're all together. And and here they are trying just to keep afloat, and we're doing all the subjects. It's not, we're not just concentrating on just one. We have to do them all, so it gets to be a little, and then we have less time.
Right.
So it's getting to be, it's a pretty crazy. It's crazy.
All right, let's go through some of these documents. Grab an agenda. And this is, like I said, it's mostly for review. First, I want you to look at the agenda. And I'm going to kindly ask, if you're a mentor, please do not put yourself in the make or pick teacher classroom, because it gets confusing and we don't understand why this teacher didn't turn everything in when it turns out it was a mentor. So remember, I'm going to have readers come and take a look at all their stuff. It's kind of confusing, and you're looking at 2 boxes here and you're thinking, what the heck is going on? So here's where we're at. I've worked hard at trying to create my own domain and get a Google Classroom. And Google rejected me. They said, you're too ugly, we don't want you. They said, you already have an account and you only get an account per school district, so to speak. I tried to, you can't talk to somebody. All you can do is try to email a little bit, but I tried to explain it to them and they just, it's over their head. So, I can't get my county teachers into my Madera Unified Google Classroom seamlessly. Some are in, some are out. So what we have are 2 different classrooms now. One for Madera Unified and one for our county. But here's the catch. When I created the county class, I couldn't use my Madera Unified domain, so I had to use something else. Now they're saying, but you can't allow other educators into this classroom. So you have to use a personal Gmail. Well, actually, it looks like any personal email will work, but you can't use your district email in the county. All right? So if you'll notice on the right side is the Madera Unified, use your district email. On the left side for Armored Sauce and Golden Valley, use your personal Gmail. Here's the critical part. Teachers that are in their 2nd year of the program,
if they're a pick for the second year because they went from PIP to STIP to intern, whatever, they're not coming to any meetings. You're going to carry the password to them. If they're a second year MIC, you're carrying the password to them. I'm working on the other end of things, inviting teachers in, but I don't want someone to slip through the cracks. So you have all of the codes, and you all understand what side you're on and what you're going to do, and be clear on that. Let's see, you got the memo.
I have a question real quick.
Yes.
The PIC teachers, do they have meetings like this, or is it we are the one that picked them?
They have one meeting once,
Okay.
not like every year.
Yeah, just one.
One time, and then we run.
Okay, but we're responsible for giving them that.
Correct.
For the.
So I'm not going to see a second year PIC teacher.
Okay, cool.
All right. Easy here. All right, there shouldn't be, unless you're new, and I don't see anybody new, there shouldn't be any new here. As you'll see, the logs are pretty similar. They're color-coded, they're on Google, they'll be in the classroom. Some of you are really good at reminding me, hey, you got to post it, come on, put it in. All right. I included your August and September reflection guides. So there's the SPED and the general ed, and there really is very little difference between the two. There's some. But I wanted you to have that in hand. Same with the thick side, SPED, and ed. Away we go. Let's see, one more thing to pass out. And that is just for the Madera Unified. You have one. Have one. Have one. This is a master copy, so you would probably want to make some photocopies of this rather than write on it, but I'll also post it in the classroom. There is the question. And real briefly, for pre-credential, we're going to go through that, what all that means, but for pre-credential teachers, if they're doing something with their credential and need some release time, we're required to give it to them. So, even if you're at the county or you're in Golden Valley and you hear about, because you have PIPs and STIPs and interns, even at your sites, the rule according to their credential is they are supposed to be given release time for credentialing activities. Well, that's kind of a nebulous word. What is it? What is credentialing activities? So we kind of define it as, hey, if I need to go meet with my advisor or my professor or my financial aid person, I could get time off to go do that. And in Madera Unified, you would use the request and charge it right there. It says on the professional lead PICs, right?
But even if you have an intern at your site and you hear about them, they're supposed to get release time, not take sick time to go take care of them. But we've also said that if they're taking a test, that we want them to take the day before and the day of. So if they have to go take a CSET, if they have to go take the CBEST, if they have to go take the CTEL, if they have to go take the MOUSE, whatever test they have to take, we want them to take the day before and the day of, so that they're rested, relaxed, hydrated. What we have discovered is that test anxiety is a real thing, and it affects a larger portion of our population than ever imagined. Some changes that are coming. Elementary and multiple subject teachers, elementary and mild moderate, and I don't think it's mild severe, mild moderate, have to take RECA, and they're making some changes to RECA. They're actually asking for feedback right now, and I think they're going to lower the bar a little bit. But right now, one change they have made is they've broken it into subtests, so you can pass one portion and not pass another and still keep going at it. But RECA only has about a 60% pass rate, right? And then so like, look at Mr. Schneider over here, he's teaching junior high social studies. How in the heck is he, as a special ed teacher, supposed to have any experience teaching reading, right? So it's particularly challenging for our multiple subject teachers that are in the secondary, how they pass the test, right? I learned something the other day, and I want you to have this conversation with your teacher. Please talk to them about what kind of credential they have, when does it expire, and what do they need to do to move it to the next level. So if they're a preliminary credential, that's an easy answer. I need to go into induction, I need to get a clear. Right? But we're running into teachers that don't know what credential they have and what they need to do. So I ran into a teacher the other day, for instance, and the teacher said that they hadn't passed CBEST yet. And they're already in the classroom. Like, right? You're thinking, wait a minute, that doesn't make any sense. I learned something the other day. Well, I had the conversation. Well, what do you need to do to get, do you have a PIP? Do you have a STIP? Are you an intern? I don't know. I don't know, she says. Like, what do you mean you don't know? They got to know. HR is going to do all they can to help your teacher out with their credential, but we don't know it all, right? They need to know where they're at. She didn't know. So what do I got to do? If I leave it alone, McSauce is going to call us and say, pull this teacher from the classroom because they don't have the right whatever. So that's what we did. I went and talked to HR and said, what credential does this teacher have? And they went, oh my God. She didn't have a credential at all.
Wow. And got hired?
Well, last year she was on a STIP that expired. And somehow in the translation, she was going to become an intern. But hadn't started barely that, hadn't taken a class or two. And have you passed CBEST? I don't know. She literally said, I don't know. Well, she came from out of state. So
there's some fun stuff happening out of state right now.
Right?
Arizona,
so,
Florida.
I learned there are actually 7 ways to satisfy the CBEST. And I kind of think of that song, 7 Ways to Leave Your Lover. It's about that. What? That's kind of what it's about. Don't need to be coy, right?
Cut them off.
So here's some of them. One of them is if a teacher has taken AP Literature and AP Cal in high school, they don't take CBEST. Okay? If they scored a 500 on the SAT in English and 500 in math, which actually is not that hard to do, they don't have to take CBEST. If your grades are good enough in college and they align with the requirements, you don't have to take CBEST. If you've taken the CSETs and passed the CSETs, you don't have to take the CBEST. That's already
That one I
four.
get.
I need to.
I get that one.
Yeah.
The others I don't get.
Yeah.
You can take the CBEST and pass. That's like number 5 or 6.
Question.
The easiest.
Yes.
Are they still doing that if you have your master's, you get an emergency credential to teach?
Anybody can get an emergency credential to teach,
Even,
as long as you have a bachelor's degree.
so
Doesn't
you don't
matter.
need a CSET, CBEST.
That's a great question. I'm gonna write it on the board for you in just a moment. On this bogus password. But we found that. Yeah, right? The director gave it to me. I don't understand.
Who is that?
Right? Key name. Call him. The 7th way to pass the CBEST is if you passed an equivalent test in another state, which she did. And then we found this and this and this and put it all together, brought her back into the district office, had to sign the paperwork, give up $100, and got the credential, and she's back in the classroom. We were, but we were able to do all of that because we simply asked the question, what is your credential? Where are you at? And what do you need to do next? Okay? So again, if they got a preliminary, that's a really bad question. If they have a preliminary, the next step is getting it cleared. We all know that. But if they're on a PIP or a STIP or an intern, what do they need to do? And the question is, how do I qualify? Everybody needs to know now, even because you might have somebody at your site, right? So there is a provisional internship permit. You have to have 9 upper or 18 units in the area in which you are going to teach. Right? So 9 math units, it's actually pretty easy to get, or 18 math units, or liberal studies major, right? Gives you the elementary. There's actually multiple subject is even easier to get. The harder one is SPED. You have to have some classes in there and some experience. So 9 units or 18 overall. And you have to satisfy the CBEST and a fingerprint. And the PIP is specifically designed for subject matter competency. Which means you have not taken the CSETs yet, and your major does not align with what you're going to teach. Because, if you didn't know, if your major aligns with what you're teaching, you no longer have to take CSETs. If I'm a math major, I don't have to take the math test. If I'm an art major, I don't have to take the art test. But if I'm ag science and I want to teach English, I'm going to have to go take the test. Okay? So if your major lines up with what you're going to take. Now, it literally says that if you don't need to, if you've already satisfied subject matter, you cannot be a PIP.
Oh, interesting.
So if I'm a math major trying to be an emergency sub, right, emergency credential, and I'm teaching math, I can't be a PIP.
Got it.
Furthermore, I can only be a PIP for 1 year. And I have to have a mentor for 1 hour a week. That's part of the credential requirement. And it literally says in your lifetime. So I can only be a PIP once. There's no mercy, there's no grace, there's no roll it over, it's once.
Expired.
You use it and you burn it. We prefer in Madera Unified for a teacher to start with a PIP and go into internship, and then if they need it, there's another credential called a STIP. And we like that to be that empty credit card that we can use in case of an emergency. Okay? But I'll tell you that the next one is a short-term staff permit. And it's all of these things except this. So a STIP is a catch-all for anyone, as long as I have the 9 or 18 units. Once again, 1 year only, and 1 hour a week with an on-site mentor. And the third emergency credential is an internship. These two credentials are generated by the district. And this one comes from the university. In cooperation with the hiring district. Okay? I can be an intern for 2 years. And I must have 1 hour with the site mentor per week, and 1 hour with the university mentor per week. Now here's where it gets all kinds of crazy hairy. COVID. In order to be an intern, you have to show subject matter competency or they won't let you in the program. Right? So you're really supposed to take the C-sets, while we have a PIP, before you become an intern. But COVID, hello, there's no testing centers open, so they gave a waiver. So they allowed teachers to get into the internship program before they showed subject matter competency. But they can't get out until they do. Right? So they can get into that, but that window is now closed. But we still have some interns that have to pass C-sets in order for them to get a preliminary credential. If your teachers are in that situation, help be their study buddy and help to get it done. Okay? It gets worse. We have driven a very hard line in the sand, and I'll tell you that I've tried to be nice and bend the corners, and somebody said, hey, all I have to do is, and I'm going to be finished by October 1st, can I start in NIC? Back in the day, I said, okay. And about 90% of the time, I got burnt. Because they didn't finish. And then I even remember one time recommending somebody, and CTC literally calling me and saying, you know, this person hasn't been on a preliminary credential for at least a year. How did you get this person through? I had to wait another whole year before I could finish their credential. Because, yeah. We have a very hard line here now. In order to be eligible for MIC, you must have a preliminary credential. Now, once the university makes the recommendation, we'll call that good. It takes 60 days for it to post on the CTC website, right? So I'm not worried about it posting, but if the university's giving a thumbs up, we're good to go. Having said that, COVID allowed teachers to become a preliminary teacher, still needing RECA for elementary and mild, moderate, severe doesn't have to take a PE.
I don't think so. The guy I have is a mild moderate.
Yeah.
I'm mod severe too.
Have you heard that? I don't take mod severe, I don't take hard of hearing, I don't take adaptive PE.
I took it back in the day, but a long time ago.
But mild, moderate takes RECA along with multiple session. And it gets a little more confusing. You have 2 TPAs, teacher performance assessments, that you must complete while they're an intern. But during COVID, they gave them a waiver, so you may find teachers that you're helping that still need to pass their TPAs. And to make it a little more confusing, make sure you don't stand in front of the camera. There you go. Somebody's going to be watching this thing and say, what happened? Fresno State's got their own one-off, and it's called the Fresno something or other assessment for student teachers. Fresno State Assessment for Student Teachers, FAST. But it's the same thing as the TPA. And they have an online program called CalTeach at Fresno State that uses the TPA.
mild to moderate does not have TPA though, right?
Yeah, they do.
Currently, not
Yes, they do.
currently. Yeah. Where is it built in then?
Now it's part of their program.
It is now?
Yes,
But
the
what has
last
it
2
been?
years. The last 2 years they put it in.
Okay, so they, because mine has never even heard of TPAs.
And they might have called it pass. Present state?
No, Pacific.
Or they entered the program soon
That's what I'm
and they were
thinking.
grandfathered in.
Okay.
So it's been.
So how do we
about 2
check
years.
that though?
They're gonna have to check with their
University.
counselor at the high school, college.
Okay.
Cause I couldn't determine that.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's a new exemption for them. They're taking 2 TPAs.
Okay.
Question. Like university, is that like University of Phoenix? Those
Any
kinds?
university.
Any university that offers like
Offers an internship. Most of ours are Fresno State, Fresno Pacific, National. And George Washington, I think is another one we're starting to see a little more of. And you might see, I want to think it's called Bradford.
And they're submitting documents as far as like if it's not on your list, they're submitting documents to you as far as
So,
how do you know that they're
how do I know? So I can see on anyone that's on this side, their credential
Yes.
states at the bottom that they've been given a waiver, and they must complete whatever it is while induction. So now they're actually my problem.
No, but I'm talking about the other side, this
I
side.
don't know. They're gonna have to know. So the waiver is over. So if they're an intern right now, there's a really good chance that they have to do their GPAs now.
Yeah.
So the waiver stopped, I wanna think, about June of 21.
Okay.
So, but we still are seeing some teachers coming through on this side that have that stuck in their craw and need to get it done.
They still need to do some
And I will tell you, if you haven't heard of it, it's called an early completion option, which means that they can get induction done in 1 year instead of 2. And we don't make them do 2 years of work in 1 year. We just simply say, in lieu of your second year, we see the experience. Unless you have this hanging over your head. We are denying ECO applications to teachers who have this, because I don't want to throw all of it into it. You got to get it done by the end of the year.
A lot.
Right? And to really kind of confuse you a little more, they technically have 5 years to get these requirements done. But we want it done when we finish Nick, so we can recommend the credential. If they're still hanging on to one of these things at the end, I can't do anything for them. You gotta wait. And there's one more piece that goes in. We talked about, you said you started to see people coming from out of state. They don't have EL authorization, usually. And so they have to go and take another course or test called the CTEL. That also means it has to be done before we can recommend it.
And when we were doing the last run of all of our teachers that we were hiring, we found that some of them had a different kind of authorization that wouldn't allow them to teach designated ELD, only integrated.
Interesting.
Yeah. I think it's ELS 1 or ELS 2, and it was around 2014. Before 2014, it was mandatory to take certain linguistics courses in order to be able to teach designated ELD enclosed in one single classroom. After 2014, some of those classes became optional, and some teachers didn't. If they didn't want to take those extra classes, they didn't have to. But now they are authorized to do sheltered instruction, which is English only students and English learners. But that doesn't authorize them to be separate designated ELD in closed one class. So it's an ELAS 1 or an ELAS 2 part of their credential.
So it just keeps, you just keep walking into the mud, getting deeper and deeper.
Yeah.
All right, that's a lot to process.
I'm already checking, I'm texting.
Questions about that? And I will tell you that I want to think I have all the answers, but I'm discovering I don't. And so I'm learning along with you. I didn't know that there were 7 ways to finish the CPAS. I had no clue. It just is astounding to me.
Yeah, I was hearing talk, but I never knew. Like my cousin that recently got a teacher. He was like, yeah, I don't have to take the see this. And I was like, what? That's like the first thing you do.
To be
Even
on
like a
campus.
sub, even a sub.
And that was
So
the
that's
dilemma we
always
had with our teacher, because if she had sub, we couldn't even hire her as a sub in her own class until we straightened this out, because she didn't have CBEST. I mean, we were really, I sent her home on Friday night and said, there's nothing we can do about this until Monday, so just don't even worry about it, right? But inside I'm going, oh, what a horrible weekend she's gonna have. And there's nothing I could do.
Yeah.
We were 4:30 at Friday night when we finally finished our initial meeting to figure out what was going on. But it's very, very important to have that conversation with your teachers about their credential and what they still have lingering. Have they fit? And I've asked the same question when I bring them in for their orientation, where you're at, how you doing, what do you got going on. But I want you to know, do you have RECOM? Do you have TPA? Do you have CBEST? Do you have CTEL? Do you have CSETs? What do you have to do to get to the next level? Because there might be something along the way you have to get done. Right? All right, that's a lot. Yeah, see, we already got ahead of ourselves. There's the passwords. You got them on your agenda. We explained all that. Any questions about that? All right, let me remind you what we need to do. So we'll start with induction. So if you're a MIC person, we want you, well, first of all, for everybody, I want you to go and make sure that your people know that you're mentoring them, that they're feeling welcome, that they're oriented to their campus. They're getting to know you. I mean, if you want to dig a little bit and bring them a Starbucks card or whatever, or a cup of joy or whatever it is you want to do, make them feel warm and fuzzy, right? And give them lots of encouragement that you're there for them and you're going to be their mentor with them the whole year. Then I want you to start having a conversation about what's coming next, and that'll help you understand what to do next. Your teachers need, in the induction program, need to start thinking about their individual learning plan. Okay? And the standards say that we have 6 weeks to write the individual learning plan. So we have made a date, and I'll put the calendar, the pacing guide, if I haven't already, in your classroom. But I would tell you that the ILP is due on the 23rd of September. Okay? So what do we need to do to get going on the ILP? We need to have them get out from their university the individual development plan. Individual development plan, and have a conversation with you about it. And it should start to show you the standards that we're going to write to. Individual development plan. If they have been a teacher before and they've been evaluated, we want to see the evaluation. What standards were identified in the evaluation that are still areas of growth. And the third, the big thing, is the self-assessment using the continuum. That's really what's going to zero in on what standards we're going to write to. I don't want you to write the goals, though, until you come to ILP and journal writing together here. So bring your mentee here, and we are going to write those goals together. And this year I'm going to try my best to actually read them, not just peer edit, because we're still having challenges with the goals. Okay? We really want the goals to be about the teacher, not about the students as much. I am going to improve my ability to, I'm going to deepen my understanding of, I'm going to expand this area of skill sets. So, and that meeting will be coming up in about a month, a little less than a month. We're starting, and I think just right around the corner. So we'll get that going. All right. As soon as we finish that meeting, you're to schedule a meeting with their evaluator and have a triad meeting. That's on you. You're going to schedule the triad meeting. Why? Because if you don't remember, going to the principal's office is still a scary thing. Now, I know y'all are not afraid of the principal, but they sure as heck are. So I want you to set that meeting up And it should be, the administrator's gonna ask, it's gonna take about 20 minutes. And they're gonna consult on the goals. And we're finding that it's not so much, let's change the goal because that doesn't align, but the principal get real excited about saying, oh, I have this book you should read, or this PD I'm gonna send you to, or I think you should go watch so-and-so teach because they're really making this happen, or they're on the lookout for how they can support this brand new teacher. So it's really kind of becoming a very positive and exciting meeting.
Do you want that to be the principal or the evaluator?
Evaluator. Because, yeah, the principal didn't have time at your side. I mean, Sabrina would probably have a blast. Jacob's really good at this. He loves to support, encourage, and he comes up with all kinds of ideas. Occasionally, they may change the goal as a result of the conversation, but we haven't found that to be true. Very small percentage. And so the second year teachers, we want to drag out their ILP from last year. Take a look at that. Review their continuum from last year, right? So we don't have a lot of assignments for a second year MIG person until they write the goals, except to review the things that we did last year so that we have a jumping off point for this year. Or is it just my hot air? 82? Oh, Lord. What, half hour?
So your 2 does not have to do a brand new PD?
Correct. So the idea is that the last time we did it was April. We haven't really done a lot of teaching and growing since then. There's not a whole lot to grow to show, right? So a second year, we'll do it again in the spring. Right. So that's the disadvantage of being the second year. We don't have those initial things to do, but they can dig a little deeper, right? So now is when we find teachers go, I really want a different sort of instruction based on my test scores, right? I'm going to dig deeper and develop lesson plans that can hit the high kids and the low kids, not just.
And this is big.
Yeah.
This is for.
This is just strictly MIG.
So they're gonna review the ILP from last year,
Yes.
but they're gonna also be working on a new ILP for this year.
Correct.
They still gotta come to the.
And they still need to come. And the reason is that my data, you know, I'd love to be able to just turn second years loose, you know what to do, but my data says otherwise. My data says they don't know what to do, and they're getting ILPs that look horrible. So, and even with my readers, they're not catching it all, or actually they're catching it, but they're still not getting the changes that we're looking at. So I'm going to try to be proactive instead of reactive and read everyone's ILP that night. We're literally going to have to write it on paper so I can do so. And now I'm going to come by with a stamp, just like back in the day. So, all right. And then, there, see, I was going to have this conversation. I had it a little more muted in my glasses. All right. Let me come back to. I meant to, there was supposed to be a slide for the PIC. Sorry about that. So PIC teachers, if they are just brand new, they need to come to PIC orientation. I think we have one of them next week, and Jessica's working on inviting them. They have, and it takes all of 10 minutes, the individual pathway plan. Individual pathway plan, IPP. And it goes on to say, this is my name, this is where I'm at with my credentialing. It asks them, do you have any extracurricular activities? So we're finding a lot of our interns are like, I met a brand new teacher the other day she's a PE teacher at TJ, who's also the varsity soccer coach at Monroe High School. And I think she had something else on her plate too. And she's an intern. So an intern means that she has 2 hours a week of mentoring, plus classes, plus she's learning how to coach. PE is not easy, and she's at junior high. Forget about it, right? And so I said, hey, I want to teach you a new English word. Are you ready? I'm going to teach you a new English word. She looked at me, what? The word is no. When admin asks you to do one more thing, the word is no. Our new teachers still think they're working for a company, not an education system. And they think that if I can make myself more valuable to the company, they can't fire me. So they take on all these extra duties. The other issue is that they're hungry, right? You know, you're getting $50,000 a year your first year out. And that sounds like a lot to me because I remember what my first year was.
Well, I mean, in under 2 years, they can let you go for any
Anything.
reason. They don't have to have a
Right.
reason, right?
And it has nothing to do with how you deal with the football
It's
field.
like if I just do everything they ask, then they'll keep me. And I won't have to start over something else. Yeah.
What
They
happens
come
is
back.
so many other things interfere with what we're doing in the classroom that we end up losing. So, PIC teachers are going to be doing the individual pathway plan. It honestly takes about 10 minutes. It gets updated along the way. And then after that, they're going to be doing journals. It's important for PIC teachers to know that the work they do now can actually help them with their early completion option. So if I go back and I'm considering an early completion option and I look into their PIC classroom and they haven't turned anything in, I'm going to say no. Right? So I'm a reminder that this is an easier pathway to their clear credentials. All right.
So we're just doing this, the collaboration log is this
That's
one.
all you got. It's all the paperwork you have. You're going to be writing those with bullet points. When they write in their journals, I want them to write complete sentences.
And then for us, like, I copy and paste and just kind of questions and then do red or color, whatever.
Yes. And there are some blue ones in there. The ones that are blue have to be answered.
Yeah, you didn't put one in on the first one.
They're probably.
But I just did.
And you don't have to ask every question in the guide. It's meant to be a guide, right? And we designed it for K-12, so some of the things in there are not going to apply to you. I don't know that senior writing really cares too much about Halloween policies.
Yeah.
But if I'm in first grade or TK, I sure as heck do. Can I bring candy? Can we bring costumes? Right? All of those are important. All right. So we talked about building relationships with your teachers. I want you to meet 1 hour a week minimum outside of your duty day. I appreciate that maybe prep is a time that you can meet, but it's been my experience to watch that preps get interrupted with meetings or, hey, can you substitute teach? And all of a sudden Tuesday prep, we were going to meet, but we didn't, so now it's going to be next week, right? So you have a little more advantage if with a late start you can meet before school. That might work. After school, in the evenings, you can meet on the weekends if you like. I would prefer that you meet face-to-face. There's something more authentic about your conversations when you're meeting face-to-face. But we've learned that Zoom works, and if you need to have that as an option, backup plan B, you can meet with Zoom, but I don't want it to be a regular thing. Okay? So 1 hour outside of your duty day, and you all should be getting a stipend for that time. That's what the stipend's for, is to compensate for you for the additional time. Okay?
Tell them not to tax.
Yeah.
Once the taxes.
Right?
Oh boy.
I remember teaching. I actually was at some school at TJ, and they said, "You're gonna get this much money." Okay, good. And I got half of it.
That was happening this summer. I was like, oh, that sounds good. And then you get the check.
I mean, it's still in my account somewhere in the type of thing. All right. Listen, one of the problems we're having is getting stuff turned in on time. I need your help. I need your help. I'm having teachers that are, I don't mind a day or 2 or 3. I really don't. If it's due on Friday and a teacher gets it to me on Monday or Tuesday, well, my readers are not that, on it that due on Friday and then they're grading Saturday morning. It just, But when it's 30 days late, when it's 60 days late, when it's 90 days late, when we're getting to the Easter break and the teachers are trying to turn all their stuff in at once, a couple of problems. One, we really want our teachers to be reflective. I told you the story, you've heard it, looking in the mirror or looking out a window, and we want our teachers to be looking in a mirror and being reflective. And you can't reflect in February what you were doing in September. It just isn't going to work. You're not reflecting now, you're planning for next year, which is fine, but we want to help the kiddos in your classroom. Okay? And so I'm going to try to be more on it. And when we see a problem, we're going to email you as well as your teacher. And within short order, if that doesn't correct the problem, we're going to you and your admin. Okay? And so in the last couple of years, even before the pandemic, I've actually had to remove people out of the program and restart them the next year. That's not. I am working with 2 teachers of my own this year. I've taken them on because this is actually their 3rd year in induction. Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to let them give me the gruff that they gave somebody else. So I'm on it. We've had, I've even had a teacher say, they didn't turn anything in, they had a terrible year. I get that last year was really difficult, okay. Now can they be ECO? It's 2 years. You have demonstrated that you needed the extra help. So, would you just be on it, particularly with the journals, ask to see them before the end of the month. They're due at the end of every month, except for December, because that's a combined month. So September, October, November, January, February, March. 6 journals. You'll know that as the end of the month is coming, that their journals are due. Ask them for it. Ask them to share that journal with you. And if they need to make a copy and share it with you, that's fine. You shouldn't need my permission to share the document. You can always click file, make a copy, and do whatever needs to be done. But I want you to see it for a couple of reasons. One, accountability, is it getting done? And number 2, what are they thinking? What are they reflecting on? And this should be for whether it's PIC or MIC, because they're all doing journals. In fact, there's more journals for PICs than there is for MIC. So kind of be on that. And make sure that you're looking at
What are the months again?
it starts in September.
Okay.
And December, January is combined. So September, October, November, January, February, March.
Isn't there one in April last year?
We took the April and went away because it didn't make sense. We were in the middle of preparing. We already gathered our data, and we're preparing for this time the interviews. Yes, when I initially started this, we had 8 journals. We eliminated April and then we had 7, and we had 1 due at the end of August, and that didn't make any sense here because we hadn't started our goals yet, right? And teacher, you guys are just getting to know one another. And we found that we were still matching people. I would tell you that this is the first time in 12 years that I have everybody matched before school started. Whew, huge. Well, now I'm being told at South they're hiring more teachers, so I'm going to have 2 more. That's okay though. That's not like that.
Well, then you had micro girls. They were getting emails from Amanda for that program, and then so we were working. It's like, no, you're elementary, but you're not elementary. You have to go to Steve. It's crazy.
And I made that distinction because we have better resources for secondary.
Yeah.
And we're in tune to that. And I have some full-time mentors. If you needed something, I would send it to you. Have expertise in it. Curricular expertise in it. So, I tried to hire other people, but they didn't want to come.
He's staring.
Got to put the pressure on. Next year. Anyway. All right. Classroom management. We had a real tough go of it last year. And then I know because of the pandemic and everything going on. So I wanted to highlight, and I think I gave you it, it's on the green paper. Classroom management starts September 12th. In this room at 4:30. And do they need to sign up? The best thing to do is just show up. Just get here. get here on the first night, you sign up, that's the way you sign up. And we'll rock and roll from there. We're gonna talk about lesson planning. We're gonna talk about classroom setup. We're gonna talk about appropriate relationships and how to have an authentic, be a champion, if you will, for our students. We're also gonna talk about how to manage a room with your physical presence and not even having to say anything. Even the colors of your room, how does that affect behavior, and the whole 9 yards. So all of it, it's 10 sessions. They're 2 hours apiece. The seminar itself is free, but if they want units, $300, and they're gonna get 4 units.
They have to attend them all, right?
We'll let them miss one, but they can watch the video.
How much is it again?
The units are $300.
Okay.
The seminar is free. So if they just want to come without getting the units, that's fine, it's free. If they want the units, $300 for 4 units, that's $75 a unit. Nobody's doing that. Nobody's doing that. And then we also get another 3 units just for being involved in induction. Unfortunately, not for PIC, but for MIC. We get another 3 units. We'll take anybody that wants to come. So while I'm telling you this because of our new teachers, if you have veteran teachers on campus that are really like, I don't know what to do, you can certainly direct them this way. If we need to have 50 people in here, I've got 50 chairs, we'll figure it out. The fire marshal's never investigated us, so we'll work it out. Classroom management, we call it the Madera Classroom Management Method. We've heard about time to teach. That's a big component of it. And Fred Jones. We've taken the best of both of them and kind of mixed them together. The best of both worlds. Isn't that Miley Cyrus? If you had kids, you know what I'm talking about. Right? What was her name? Hannah Montana. Right? The best of both worlds. Hannah Montana. Okay. You guys are looking at me like, could you please stop talking? Get out of here. We're almost done. Questions? Yes.
If my PITS credential is expiring in September, does the district automatically move them over, or what do we
She
do?
needs to call HR and get on it.
Okay.
So, has she ever been a STIP?
No.
That's the option.
Okay.
Or internship, which would be way better.
Okay. Does it still say PIP on the credentialing website?
It might say provisional internship permit, but yeah.
Okay.
You probably won't have to act on it. Provisional internship permit.
And they should know what they are, correct?
That's the hope. If it were me, I would want to know.
And then how, you just call HR and see what
If there's any,
Yeah,
if there's some confusion, then we gotta call that HR tech and say, what am I on and what do I need to do? Because among other things, they had to file a plan with the district office of what they're going to do to get to the next level. So if they're a PIP last year, they should have signed something that said, I will be an intern by September of '22, and done whatever needed to be done to get there. If they failed to make that progress, the ace in the hole is the STIP. That catches it.
And if they're going on maternity leave from October to Christmas break.
All sorts of good stuff.
Left field.
Journals and
PIPs, I'm not going to worry too much about the journals.
okay.
If it was a mixed situation, then we would have to alter their, because that's the heavy lifting.
I remember that.
So it might be an extra semester or something like that. But
Okay.
A PIP, not so much.
Okay.
And here's the interesting thing. Legally, they're not on maternity, they're on a medical leave.
Yeah, she's disability transfer.
That too, but it's technically a medical leave, and we cannot require her to even read her email while she's out. So, no journals for the PIP, and there's no adjustment needed, we just keep
Okay,
going.
no adjustment. Thank you.
But she needs to get her credential situation rectified before she goes out on maternity.
Okay.
Then there's the baby bonding too.
Right?
That's
Yeah.
another 12 weeks.
Oh, shit.
It can be a whole.
She's coming back in.
But then she has a year to take baby bonding up to 12 weeks, which seems to always follow about a month after they're back.
And paternity's now a thing too, that's happening, the good dads, they're doing the same thing.
Yeah, but they take all your sick leave first and then whatever.
I'm on the other side, I'm trying to
I'll take a
save
week
all my
off.
sick leave, cause if I can get to 219 days, I get a year off. That's my contract is 219, so I gotta get to 219. I think I'm about 150, 160.
What happened to use it? More about tomorrow.
What's interesting is
Except on Friday and Monday.
That's right.
you cannot use sick leave for vacation days, and if you get caught, then they take your pay.
Yeah, it's your daily rate.
My supervisor is HR.
That's right.
There aren't no-tell days anymore?
There are, but you can't take them on a Monday or a Friday
Oh, I didn't hear that, sorry.
on our district.
They really just need to call it leave.
I know, like, what is the matter why we're leaving? It's not their business.
And it's a
That's
act
the way
of,
most businesses run it.
to
Not
get
just
those
leave.
no-tells now.
Yeah.
To get those persons.
You gotta have
We have a teacher who needs to move their child into college, so they went the proper route and everything and asked for, and they were told, well, you have to show proof you have to move in. I mean, it's like a big thing that they have to go through. So it's like,
Wasn't a no-tell?
You can't. You know, it has to be.
has to
Even
be-
a hotel has to get approval.
yeah.
Yeah, but you have to tell them why you need it.
Yeah.
If it's on a Friday or Monday.
If it's on a Friday or Monday, you do.
So it's we're gonna lose teachers over this.
Yeah, it's a
It's not a
balance.
Yeah, that's true.
It's
They
gonna
do
be
make
everywhere.
it-
People are already
I voted
talking.
no.
People are like, I'm gonna apply for
Like,
it.
it's a no-tell, but.
Who voted yes? Everybody I know voted no.
Okay, how do you?
80%
Okay, I voted no. Who voted yes? Because they say how many percent voted yes. It's like,
All
okay.
I know is I'm on the dark side, so that had anything to do with this contract next year. Other than I think need it for the 6% this year and 4% next year.
So
I
that's
went and looked at my
why we have no
contract.
tells are taken away.
I can't, yeah, we talked about when you started teaching this, and I think I'm making 4 times now when I was starting. Literally 4 times.
3 times.
Yeah, at least.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Alright, guys, thank you.
You want us to leave these MOUs
Oh,
on
I
the
do
table?
want the MOUs, please, yes.
Yes.
MOUs.
Everything. This is
MOUs.
based on the questions attached to it. We
I don't
put
know.
in any training, we have some like this.
Do you want me to take the?
Yeah, we can add that to the hours.
Yeah, whatever we.
You brought them to. And
Jude, would you turn that
they,
off?
so it'll be hours for them, up the top of that line, and this is getting the hours.